February 9th, 2004. A cold winter night settles over the White Mountains of New Hampshire. The roads are dark, snow lines the shoulders. Most residents are home for the evening. Then a car crashes. Nothing unusual about that. Accidents happen, especially on icy roads. But what happened next would become one of the greatest mysteries in modern true crime history. A 21-year-old nursing student was seen standing beside her damaged vehicle. Witnesses spoke with her. Police were called, and within minutes, she was gone. Not years later, not days later, minutes. More than 2 decades have passed since that night. Thousands of people have searched for answers. Investigators, journalists, podcasters, private investigators, internet sleuths, and her family. Yet one question remains. What happened to Maura Murray? This is gone without a trace. Who was Maura Murray? To understand this mystery, we need to understand Maura herself. Maura Murray was born on May 4th, 1982. She grew up in Hanson, Massachusetts. She was athletic, competitive, intelligent, and by most accounts, determined. Friends described her as independent and strong-willed. Her father, Fred Murray, was deeply involved in her life. The two shared a close bond. As a teenager, Maura excelled in sports, particularly track. She later attended the United States Military Academy at West Point before transferring to the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. There, she pursued nursing. By 2004, she was a junior. Her future seemed bright. She was working toward a respected career. She had goals, dreams, plans. At least that's how it appeared. But in the days leading up to her disappearance, cracks began to show. Many true crime cases have a moment, a point in time where investigators later look back and ask, was this important? For Maura Murray, several moments stand out. On February 5th, 2004, only 4 days before she disappeared, Maura was working a security job on campus. During her shift, something happened. Her supervisor later reported that Maura became visibly upset. When asked what was wrong, Maura reportedly responded, "My sister." She appeared emotional, distraught, almost catatonic. Yet exactly what triggered that reaction remains unclear. Some investigators believe it was related to family concerns. Others believe it may have been connected to personal stress. Whatever happened, witnesses remembered it because it seemed unusual. And it happened just days before she vanished. You know, one thing that really stands out to me in this case is how many people describe Maura as being under pressure in the days leading up to her disappearance. And honestly, that's what makes this case so relatable. Most of us have experienced moments where life feels overwhelming. School, work, family expectations, financial stress, relationship problems. The difference is that most people get through those difficult periods and eventually move on. For Maura, those stressful days became the final days anyone ever saw her, and that's heartbreaking. Then came another strange event. Early on February 8th, the day before she disappeared, Maura borrowed her father's car. That night, she attended a gathering with friends. Sometime after leaving, she crashed the vehicle into a guardrail. Fortunately, she wasn't seriously injured. Police responded. The damage was significant. Her father later arrived to assist her. Some investigators have wondered whether this crash increased stress in Maura's life. Was she overwhelmed? Embarrassed? Struggling with something deeper? Nobody knows. But within 24 hours, she would disappear forever. February 9th. Monday. The final day anyone knows for certain that Maura Murray was alive. Security footage captured her visiting an ATM. She withdrew nearly all available money from her account, roughly $280. Not thousands. Not enough to start a new life, but enough to raise questions. Then she stopped at a liquor store. The receipt showed purchases including wine, Bailey's Irish Cream, vodka, and Kahlua. Why? Was she planning a getaway? A vacation? Meeting someone? Or simply taking time away? Nobody knows. But investigators would later recover some of those items from her vehicle. Next came a series of emails. Maura contacted professors and supervisors. She stated there had been a death in her family. She would be gone for a week. The problem? No family member had died. The statement wasn't true. Why tell that story? Why create an excuse? And where was she planning to go? Those questions still haunt this case. This is where I always find myself asking the same question. What was the plan? Not what happened later, not what happened after the crash, but what was Maura's plan before any of that happened? Because she withdrew money, packed belongings, emailed professors, and left campus. That doesn't feel random. It feels intentional. The problem is, we still don't know what that intention was. Was she escaping? Taking a break? Meeting someone? Starting over? The truth is, we don't know. And that's one of the reasons this case remains so fascinating. At some point that afternoon, Maura left Amherst. Investigators believe she packed clothing, school materials, and personal items. Maps were found in the vehicle. Directions, travel information, evidence suggesting she may have been heading north, toward New Hampshire, toward the White Mountains, toward an area her family frequently visited. The drive would take several hours, and somewhere during that journey, something changed. Was she simply seeking solitude? Trying to clear her mind? Or was she running from something? The answers disappeared with her. At approximately 7:27 p.m., a local resident heard a loud impact. A black Saturn had crashed into a snowbank on Route 112 near Haverhill, New Hampshire. The road was isolated, dark, surrounded by woods. This was not a busy highway. It was exactly the kind of place where someone could disappear unnoticed. Witnesses soon observed a young woman standing beside the vehicle. That woman was believed to be Maura Murray. She appeared shaken, but not seriously injured. She was walking, talking, moving around. Most importantly, she was still there, alive, visible, present. The mystery had not yet begun, but it was about to. One witness would become critically important, a local school bus driver named Butch Atwood. Driving home that evening, he stopped near the accident. He spoke with the young woman. According to his account, she declined assistance. He offered help. She refused. He offered to call police. She reportedly asked him not to. He later stated she appeared concerned about police involvement. This detail became significant because investigators believed alcohol may have been present inside the vehicle. Was Maura afraid of getting into trouble? Was she trying to avoid another accident report? Or was something else going on? Atwood drove home and called authorities. That decision would place a countdown on the mystery, because when police arrived, Maura was gone. I always think about that moment with the bus driver, because if his account is accurate, he may have been one of the last people to ever speak with Maura. Imagine how often he has replayed that conversation in his head, wondering if there was something he missed, something he should have noticed, something he could have done differently. When a person disappears, everyone who crossed paths with them starts reviewing their memories, looking for clues, searching for answers. And sometimes, those answers never come. If there is one part of this case that continues to fascinate investigators, it's the timeline. The window was incredibly small. At approximately 7:27 p.m., the crash occurred. At approximately 7:46 p.m., police arrived. That's less than 20 minutes. Some estimates place the actual window even shorter. Think about that. A young woman is standing beside a disabled vehicle. A witness sees her. Another resident notices activity near the crash scene. Police are on their way. Yet somehow, before law enforcement arrives, She disappears completely. No one sees her walking away. No one reports hearing screams. No one witnesses a struggle. No confirmed sightings exist after that moment. It's as if the darkness swallowed her whole. And that small window of time may contain the answer to everything. When police arrived, Maura's Saturn remained where it had crashed, but Maura was nowhere in sight. Inside the vehicle, investigators found several items: alcohol, personal belongings, school materials, maps, and evidence suggesting she had intended to be away for several days. But there was something investigators did not find: a clear explanation. The vehicle itself became one of the most important pieces of evidence. Every item was examined, every clue scrutinized, every detail debated. But despite years of investigation, nothing inside the car definitively revealed what happened after the crash. The following hours were critical. Police believe Maura couldn't have gone far. Temperatures were cold. Snow covered much of the surrounding landscape. Search teams mobilized quickly. Dogs were brought in. Officers searched roads, properties, and wooded areas. Helicopters joined the effort. Volunteers arrived. Everyone expected they would find her. After all, how far could someone travel in such a short period of time? The answer should have been simple, but it wasn't. Because despite extensive searches, investigators found absolutely nothing. No footprints leading into the woods, no discarded clothing, no signs of injury, no body, nothing. And that's when the case became truly mysterious. One of the most discussed pieces of evidence involves a tracking dog. Investigators used an item believed to belong to Maura. The dog followed a scent for a short distance. Then something strange happened. The trail appeared to stop. Not in the woods, not near a river, not deep in the mountains. The scent reportedly ended near the roadway. This finding sparked endless debate. Some investigators believed it suggested Maura entered another vehicle. Others cautioned that scent evidence is not always reliable. Weather conditions, time delays, environmental factors, all can impact results. Still, many people point to that scent trail as one of the strongest indicators that Maura may have left the scene with someone else. If that's true, who was driving? And where did they go? This is one of the pieces of evidence that keeps people divided. Some listeners will hear this and immediately think, she got into another vehicle. Case closed. Others will say, scent evidence isn't reliable enough to draw that conclusion. Personally, I think it's important to remember that no single clue solves this mystery. Every piece of evidence raises new questions, and every answer seems to create another mystery. One of the most widely accepted theories is that Maura ran into the forest. Supporters of this theory argue she may have been trying to avoid police. Perhaps she had been drinking. Perhaps she feared getting into trouble. Perhaps she simply panicked. If she entered the wilderness, exposure to freezing temperatures could have become deadly. On paper, the theory seems plausible, but there are problems, major problems. Search teams found no footprints, no physical evidence, no remains, and the area was searched extensively. Some experts believe it would have been extremely difficult for someone to travel deep into the snow without leaving signs behind. Others argue that searches can miss evidence, especially in rugged terrain. More than 20 years later, the debate continues. For many people, the most unsettling possibility is that Maura encountered another person. Imagine the situation. It's cold, dark, you're stranded. Your car is damaged. Police are on the way. A vehicle stops. Someone offers assistance. At that moment, getting into a car may have seemed reasonable, safe even. But if the wrong person stopped that night, everything changes. Investigators have explored numerous leads involving possible drivers, suspicious vehicles, anonymous tips, potential witnesses. Yet no definitive evidence has ever emerged. No confirmed suspect. No arrest. Only possibilities. If I'm being honest, this theory is the one that scares me the most, because it reminds us how quickly life can change. One decision, one conversation, one person you cross paths with, and suddenly everything is different. Of course, there's no evidence proving that happened to Maura. But whenever I think about that dark road, that freezing night, and those missing minutes, I understand why people continue to explore this possibility. The red truck. Over the years, reports surfaced involving a red pickup truck. Several theories suggested a vehicle matching that description may have been in the area. Internet investigators became fascinated with the possibility. Forums exploded with discussion. People analyzed witness accounts, compared timelines, examined maps. But despite years of speculation, no evidence has conclusively linked a red truck to Maura's disappearance. Like many aspects of this case, the theory remains intriguing but unproven. Another theory suggests Maura may not have been traveling alone. Supporters believe another driver could have been accompanying her. Perhaps someone she knew. Perhaps someone she planned to meet. According to this theory, after the crash, she entered a second vehicle and left voluntarily. But again, investigators found no evidence proving this happened. No witness confirmed seeing two vehicles traveling together. No communications have surfaced establishing such a plan. Still, because Maura's destination remains unknown, the theory refuses to disappear. Few missing person cases have generated as much public attention as this one. Long before true crime podcasts became mainstream, online communities were dissecting every detail, every witness statement, every police report, every map, every photograph. The internet transformed Maura Murray's disappearance into one of the most analyzed mysteries in America. For some, the case became an obsession, a puzzle waiting to be solved. But beneath the theories and speculation is an important truth. This isn't just a mystery. It's a missing person, a daughter, a sister, a human being. One thing I never want to lose sight of in true crime is the human side of these stories. It's easy to become focused on clues and theories, but behind every missing person case is a family living with uncertainty. And uncertainty is its own kind of pain. There's no funeral, no goodbye, no answers, just questions, day after day, year after year. I think that's why Maura's case continues to resonate with so many people. Because regardless of what theory you believe, everyone wants the same thing: the truth. While the public debated theories, Maura's family never stopped searching. Year after year, search after search, interview after interview. Her father, Fred Murray, became one of the most persistent voices in the investigation. He continued pushing for answers, continued organizing searches, continued believing that one day the truth would emerge. Imagine carrying that uncertainty for decades, not knowing whether your loved one is alive, not knowing where they are, not knowing what happened during those final minutes. That uncertainty becomes its own kind of tragedy. The questions that remain. Today, the case remains unsolved, and several questions continue to haunt investigators. Why did Maura leave Amherst? Where was she planning to go? Why did she tell professors there had been a death in the family? What happened during the 19-minute window after the crash? Did she leave voluntarily? Did she enter another vehicle? Did she encounter someone dangerous? Or is the answer still hidden somewhere in the mountains of New Hampshire? Sometimes mysteries grow larger with time, not smaller. The disappearance of Maura Murray is one of those cases. Every year that passes adds another layer of uncertainty, another missed opportunity, another unanswered question. And yet, the search continues. Because somewhere out there, the truth exists. Someone knows something. Someone remembers something. Someone may still hold the missing piece. After researching this case, I keep coming back to one thought. someone knows more than they've said. Maybe it's a small detail. Maybe it's something they dismissed years ago. Maybe it's a memory that didn't seem important at the time. But somewhere within this mystery is an answer. And until that answer is found, Maura Murray's story remains unfinished. And that's what makes this case so haunting. On February 9th, 2004, Maura Murray vanished after a car crash on a lonely road in New Hampshire. More than 20 years later, investigators, journalists, and her family are still searching for answers. Until those answers come, her disappearance remains one of the most haunting mysteries in true crime history. I'm Cece, and this has been Pretty Deadly with Cece. Join me next week as we continue Season 1, Vanished. Because sometimes, the darkest mysteries begin with something as ordinary as a drive down a quiet road.